How's it going out there in DigInterp world? John here.
John here.
And welcome back to DigInterp in Depth. And today we're going to be talking about 2016 and you. Talking about the Cenntenial and how we can support the Cenntenial in amazing interpretive and digital ways. So we got some interesting content ready for you. Hopefully everything's going well out there. I know we did promise last episode that we would have a few updates on the future of DigInterp in Depth. John and I are still hashing out the schedule for the next few sessions, so keep your eyes out for those. But we have been talking, and I just want to tease this, we don't have any solid details yet, but we have been talking about having a conference, a DigInterp conference. Really? Oh my God!
It's just this kind of stuff just happens over here in his head.
Yeah, it just comes out. So we've been talking about having a conference, and I use that giant bad word in the Park Service because it's tough for us to get approval.
A formless conference.
Right. So conference is in quotes because we want to have a one-day virtual conference
through the computer.
Through your screen.
Sounds like a first time.
Dr. Tung's 3D House of Beef. Is that what we're doing? Yes, we are going to have a virtual conference probably sometime in the late summer. We'll use it as an opportunity for all of you to share the good work that you're doing with each other, so we can keep building this amazing community that we've got going.
And because you can't take DigInterp more than once, well, we might change that in the future, but that it's been a long time probably since you've been able to sit down for a few hours and think about it and share things and see what everybody's doing. So
we're looking at this as a kind of recharge moment, where we can come together as a community, recharge our batteries, and then go out and do some amazing work. And that's the idea right now. So this confab, we're not sure exactly what it is. It's going to be cool. That's what it is. And we're trying to get some outside voices into that as well. So keep your eyes open for news on that and news on our monthly stuff coming up. I just wanted to billboard that up front so we didn't forget it later on.
And we're thinking about maybe not always being this, but maybe being some other functional things that aren't part of in-depth that expand out to being like DIY or some other things. I don't know.
Yeah,
we're still working on some of those short pieces to give people some better quick training and things that'll be able to show somebody in like 5 minutes, not
not an hour long like we usually end up here.
Of us chatting.
Some just-in-time training stuff, which is cool, and maybe some stuff you can show to your upper management to say, this is what I do every day. Can you give me some more time to do it? Which we know that's a struggle out there. And speaking of which, that's the other piece I wanted to billboard before we start. Is that I put a form in the DigInterp Facebook community. You can get to the form there. It's informal. It's not required or anything. It's just if you feel like doing it, you can do it. And I'm taking a census of your work out there in the parks doing social media. And what I'm hoping is that can help inform what John and I do, and then also inform, we've got a bunch of other Cenntenial training initiatives that we're working right now with Northeast Region to start piloting across the country. And we're hoping that it can help feed those. And really, that data might actually get out to almost every single chief of interpretation in the Park Service through this new training initiative. So if you want your voice to be heard and say, I do digital interpretation 1 day a week, or 1 hour a week, but I think that I should probably be doing it, 12 or 15 or 40 hours a week, you can have your voice heard by putting some data. 60, 80 hours a week?
Yeah.
120 hours a week?
That's too much.
No? Yeah. 240 hours a week?
That'd be fine.
Okay, cool. It's 10 days a week. Anyways, so if you can give us some of the data, that would be awesome, because I'm going to start crunching numbers on that and using that as an argument for getting you guys a lot more support from the top down. And we're really conscious of the fact that we need to find you guys some support. And I want to do that for you since I'm from Wasso and I'm here to help. All right, so why don't we talk about the Cenntenial and Find Your Park. So I wanted to start talking about Find Your Park, and it's this massive campaign that now has started officially. It started just about a month ago, and now we are going strong. And really, Find Your Park, we've got this question. of what this can be for us interpreters. Because we know what Park Service Management wants it to be. We know what the PR folks want it to be. But then also interpreters end up bending this and shaping this. We end up being the ones that talk about this on the ground. And interpretation, you have a choice. You really do have a choice. You can be a door. And a lot of our traditional view of interpretation is as a door. We stand there and we allow people in to find amazing meaning. Or you can seek out to be a window. Now, windows, very similar to doors. They're still portals. They're still ways into the meaning. You can still see the world through them, but they're far more transparent. They don't have to be opened and closed. They're there. But you can see through the glass. They don't tint it. They don't change it, unless it's a stained glass window. But we're not going to get into that. This is the choice we have. And this choice is really important when we're thinking about the Find Your Park campaign. Because look at this. Now, when I had those words up there in front of you, you can flip back and forth. It's fine. When I had those words up there in front of you, you didn't get the full power of this. But as soon as I became transparent and allowed you to see the power of this amazing resource with the Aurora Borealis lighting up the skies, suddenly this has a huge different meaning. You know, when you're out there doing interpretation in the broad world, allowing people to touch the resource, the physical resource, to experience it themselves can be 10 times more powerful than me standing someplace and blathering on constantly about what happened here when, or what this tree is, or how this animal lives. Just experiencing it, feeling the physical resource can be so powerful. And we have amazingly powerful resources, whether they're natural or cultural resources to experience. One of my friends, Jake, he might be watching. Hi. If he's not, I'll tell him that he got a shout out at least. One of my friends, Jake, tells about his favorite interpretive experience. And it happened at Gettysburg, and it happened at the Abraham Bryan Farm. And he finishes up an hour-long tour, and they're standing in front of this building. And Jake said that at the end of that program, the visitors, after he was done, the visitors walked directly past him. They did not applaud. They didn't ask him questions. They didn't seek him out for anything. They paid no attention to him whatsoever. He said, "Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your tour, or rest of your day here at the park." And they just walked beelined past him up to the building he was talking about, where a black man lived at the time of the Battle of Gettysburg, and they touched the wood. They needed to viscerally experience it. To hell with the ranger. They wanted the resource. And that's the power of these places. That's the ultimate expression of success in interpretation, when they stop paying attention to you, when they absolutely forget the fact that you are there and they start focusing keenly and solely on the resource. One of my favorite places where that's happened to me is when I focused keenly on the resource in a way that everybody else focuses keenly on the resource for literally hundreds of years at Lincoln's home in Springfield, where they've set up an opportunity for an actual window. Now, it's the window of a camera and the lens, but you can set your phone, this is what this is, and set your phone right in the same place that a camera lens has been set over and over and over again for 150 years. There's no ranger standing in the way. In fact, we've set up the frame so there isn't a ranger in the way, that you get an unmitigated experience. You can be a door, but it's far more powerful to be a window, to become transparent and allow the resource to speak out. To ignore the fact that we are park rangers, to ignore the fact that we're standing there in front of these people, and instead let them see the real. So find your park. This is an amazing idea. These 3 words can be so powerful. I mean, think of the power in each of them, right? First of all, we got that massive one there, the park. And we've been focusing a lot on that massive word lately. We've been focusing on the word park for quite a while. And it's National Park Week. Of course we're going to be focusing on the park. But those other 2 words, we have to make sure we don't lose them. Because there's just as much power on the other end of this logo as there is on the right-hand side. And the size of the words really doesn't even convey that. But I think the more power in this logo lies on the left than the right. Find your, where the most of the words are, is the far more powerful end of this. In fact, this is part of the whole campaign. Finding your park doesn't mean a park. It's embedded in there. It's not supposed to be a park. So when we look at interp, that word find can be so powerful. I mean, think of it, find. What are some other words? Think of them right now inside your head. Other words. Grab a sheet of paper and start brainstorming with me. I mean, I thought of discover. Discover is another great word that means find. It means to seek out and to boldly go where no man has gone before. Seeking things out can be so amazingly cool. And frankly, finding, discovering, seeking, unearthing, these are things, these are themes, these are human universals that live within every single one of our resources. Human universals like these are powerful, powerful. And we have one right in the theme, in the very bedrock of our centennial message, is a human universal. Seeking, finding, discovering, unearthing, understanding, and touching the real. That second word is powerful too, because that's who's doing the finding. It's the visitor doing the finding, not us doing the finding for the visitor. These are true human universals. They aren't interpreter universals. So you look at these landscapes and you go, wow. Unmitigated, a landscape like this with a cannon literally on the crest of a precipice overlooking a city. When you can stand in these real places and not necessarily need a park ranger. When you can touch the real, quite literally touch the real. A Bible that was on a table 150 years ago, at that very moment, inside of a church that a battle raged around. Oh, by the way, on that one, I did let her touch the pages. Shh, don't tell Antietam. Or just feeling the power of having the real surround you in the air. Snow is a resource, especially if you're someone from Florida. I mean, Katie Bliss, who I work for, she will agree with you that snow is a resource all the time because, you know, she's not used to it.
It's rare.
It's rare. Well, not now that she lives in Maryland. These places are powerful in and of themselves. Now, I know sometimes I fight against the idea of inherent meaning, and I'm a contradictory person, but inherent and ascribed meanings, there is inherent power just in a place when we step aside. Or imagine standing on the dock at Boston overlooking that city, and instead of standing there in front of the visitors and standing between them as a door, between them and that skyline, between them and that water, stopping them and catching their gaze, imagine standing behind them and allowing them to instead use you as a window. Your words are the glass, but words are transparent as you speak them. Text can be transparent too. And that's where this comes into the digital realm, isn't it? I mean, text is like our spoken words. It's over here, it's on the side, it's transparent, it's a window, and then you've got the image that really sucks you in and brings you into the resource. And when you're out in the park itself, that image can sometimes be literally every star in the sky. It's a little bit tougher to do that in the digital realm, to make every star in the sky. But the goal here is to make unmitigated, unmediated experiences, to allow people to literally find their place. So we have this Find Your Park. The find is important. We want to find through that window. And when we seek out that window, sometimes we have to stop thinking about promoting the service, promoting the agency, and instead going beyond that and promoting what the agency encapsulates, what the agency preserves. The Park Service is important. The stuff we keep is 10 million times more important. The Park Service could be wiped off the face of the earth tomorrow, but if the Liberty Bell was still in Philadelphia, things would be okay. If the Grand Canyon was still there with that river rushing through it constantly, after millions of years of carving, we would still be okay. It's the resource that's powerful. The service is important because we preserve the resource, but the resource is really what we're selling. We're not selling an arrowhead. Arrowheads come and go. but we're selling America. The idea, the very heart of who we are, naturally, culturally, physically. And we want people to find their own. So we say park, and we mean place. We mean find your place. Probably be a great way to phrase that is find your place. Find your place, find your space, find your spark. We want inspiration to come out of this. Find your doesn't matter what exactly, but find something. And to do that, we need to be transparent. We need to say, step back and say, it's not about the agency, it's about this cool thing. It's about Harpers Ferry. It's about the town. It's about John Brown. It's about this brick that I'm holding in my hand. It's not about the fact that I got an arrowhead on my shoulder while I'm holding the brick. It doesn't matter who helps the finding, as long as whatever it is gets found. Finding is so important in this. It's something we can't lose sight of in talking about the Centennial. It's not just about the Park Service. It's about the things to be found, the things we preserve. We have massive sets of tools. I mean, there's an entire toolkit John's going to point you to. We're going to talk more about the physical doing of this in just a minute. We have tons of tools to do this. But the important thing when we're using these tools is to use these tools for a reason. Sometimes I'm looking at these tools and I go, what are we selling? What are we promoting? I want to make sure these tools aren't simply tools that promote us keeping a job. If we are promoting the service for the sake of the service, we might as well not exist. If we're just self-perpetuating, we got no reason. But if we use these tools and we choose a different reason, the window reason, not the door reason, and we say we want these tools to be used so that people can find their whatever charges them. And if that something is a cornfield in Maryland where hundreds of men fell and bled, that's awesome. And if that something is a park in Utah where you can sink into quicksand, I hope safely, that's awesome. And if that something is an ancient piece of culture balanced on the edge of a million-year-old canyon, that's awesome. And if that something is the place where the great emancipator lived and cut his legal chops, that's awesome. And if that place is the cradle of freedom, yes, I went there, the cradle of freedom, that's awesome. If it's someplace else, that's awesome too. If it's not a park, but if it's a museum, if it's a thought, if it's an idea, if it's a brick, that's awesome. The finding is so powerful. That's the human universal for the Centennial. Every piece of interpretation that we do that focuses on find your park isn't about park. It should never be about park. It should be about the finding. That means the quote that you pair up with it, and we're going to look at this in just a minute, might be better served if it's about finding than if it's about parks. If it's Teddy Roosevelt talking about finding something cool rather than Teddy Roosevelt talking about creating the Park Service, it's probably going to inspire folks a little bit more to go out and find for themselves. Find your park. Don't forget those first two words. That's where this whole thing hits the road. That's where the rubber meets the road. This is a weird philosophy, I know. And you all know from watching the back catalog. If you've never watched the back catalog, go and watch it now. If you have, you know that I'm a weirdo. You know, I am the weird radical fringe of interpretation in the Park Service. But frankly, I think that we're feeling this shift. People want to experience places not because of who owns them. More and more, it's not about the brown sign. It's not about the arrowhead. It's about the cool stuff. It's not about the fact that the Park Service owns the place where Lincoln died. It's the fact that Lincoln died there. That's really where the power of that story lies. Now, we can feel pride in the fact that we take care of it, but in the end, it's about Lincoln. It ain't about the flat hat. I know, heresy. I'm speaking heresy. And sometimes I enjoy speaking heresy. It's fun. And we can play cool ideas, and that's what I love doing. You guys disagree with me? If you're in DigInterp, there's a chat box right down there, and we can have a great conversation about this. And this is the type of conversation that we need to be having in DigInterp, because we need to make sure that when we use a hashtag, when we use Find Your Park, we're not just using it blindly, that we're using it for a very particular reason. And John's going to talk a little bit more about what those reasons are.
And the how.
And the house, yeah.
So Find Your Park, we're all, we've been in it. We've been doing it. We've all been doing it. And we've done a great job so far, I think. From all the micro events that have happened to the larger pieces that are really the big events that have happened inside your parks, it's been an amazing just kickoff piece. I think a lot of things have gone on. I think we've seen some numbers pop. We've seen some amazing things. Connections happen. Just the little Instameet, is just the beginning too. And that's the hardest thing to remember with this, right? It's the end of April, and it's not even.
We haven't even
Cenntenial yet.
We haven't even hit Founders Day this year.
And so we've got a good long time for this. So we got a whole year plus to celebrate. We have a lot more things going. It's not even the season in most parks. Some of our parks we can't even go into yet. So how can we make sure that we keep up well, it's going to be hard. I'll tell you that. It's going to be hard to keep up and to keep remembering and to keep pushing and remembering that a lot of people, it's their first time seeing any of this stuff. When it's their first time being part of this, it's, you don't putting it up one day and then letting it go forever. We know this from all the things we've talked about through the series. It's useless. Right? You might as well not have posted it if you're not going to keep thinking about it. Now, that doesn't mean you slap Find Your Park stuff on every post.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean that that it's constantly berating people to go share their story. It's figuring out ways to do it, and we don't have all the ways. We don't have all the ways yet. We don't know what the best things are yet. There's no caption this post yet that lights on fire that everybody copies for 6 months or a year.
I think I'd be afraid if we thought we had all the ways too.
Yes,
because that would be a bad sign.
Well, and I think we'll see those things though, and they'll be powerful between our parks. There'll be really interesting things that'll work, and there'll be interesting things that won't. And I think going forward though, we just need to think about using the tools we have, being creative, making sure that we stay though inside of the campaign itself, so we don't dilute it, so we don't mess it up, so we don't,
So it still has the power by the end.
It still has the power. It still raises all boats, like we're talking about, and it still helps us move forward. So first thing, this is just to run through the pieces of it. Templates are your friend. If you haven't found them yet, there are plenty of templates out there. There are templates on the Cenntenial website, which you can just get off from inside.nps.gov. You can get there really easily. Little big Cenntenial logo. Just click that. This one. This logo.
Just a second.
Ding, ding, ding. Hopefully it's the right way.
Yeah, I don't know if it's mirrored. It's not on your screen.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. So let's just make sure you go through and get these things. They're important. We have one for Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube right now. They're designed for desktop and mobile. They have a preview for layout file. So you can see, this is Facebook right here. The top one is the desktop version, which we're all used to, and the bottom one is the mobile version, where it cuts things off. We designed it this way. Don't mess with it too much. I would say, the biggest thing is to make sure your photos fit. Not every photo fits in there well. Not every photo that's been used, not every photo is perfect in it. Not even the sample photo that's in there really works that great. You just have to find the right ones. And then you can preview it before you get on there. The other thing is for Twitter and for the other, so for Twitter and YouTube, they have different dimensions. So you need to make sure you use different ones for each specific place. And they both are made to go on mobile and on desktop, and then YouTube's also made to go on your TV.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, there is, and I always love to point this out to people. If you don't have Photoshop, you can use Pixlr. It's a free website. You can go there. You need to make sure you go into the, oh, now I'm going to forget. I should have clicked on it before. Going into the advanced tab, I think, or one of those. You don't want to go into the simple version. You need the more advanced one. It has layers just like Photoshop. It has all the little hints and pieces. You can drop it right in and do it. I actually went in and tested this template that we threw together for it. And you'll notice one other thing about it, and I'm going to point this out. It says, Find Your Park, Facebook cover photo, April 2015. We'll probably have to fix it at certain points.
You were noticing just today that stuff wasn't quite reading right.
Something weird happened with Twitter. Things happen on all of these places, and so we go in there and tweak these things. We all know how often Facebook likes to mess around with their layout and design. Same with Twitter and YouTube. So, if you're going to go make a new one, make sure that you have the latest one. The latest one of these sample files. So just a word of warning, and then save it out as a JPEG or a PNG and stick it up.
Is that how you pronounce that? PNG?
PNG.
I always say PNG.
It's like JPEG or no, it's like GIF, GIF or GIF.
JIF.
Or JIF.
Yeah. Keep going.
It is JIF. Is that what he wanted it to be, though?
I think it is.
Yeah. CompuServe, I tell you. The other thing is, big important piece, John's favorite thing when I talk about. Don't change the arrowhead on your social media sites to the Cenntenial logo or to the Find Your Park logo as of right now. Right now, we're sticking with what we've always had, and that's the profile pic. The profile pic comes in all these fabulous, lovely colors. I would suggest using the same one across all of your sites. So if you pick the red one or the blue one, make sure that that's the one that goes on all your sites. Be careful about associating colors that are that associate with something else at your site. A
Revolutionary War site might not want to use a red background.
That's right, because that's what the British wore. Very good point. There you go. Many other places, the color might be more symbolic though, like like at Crater Lake, a blue might make logical sense because the lake is that deep blue.
Right, and Seneca Falls might want to use yellow because it was a traditional color used by the women's rights movement.
Perfect. The other thing, though, is not to mess with it either. So don't mess with the arrowhead. I'm just saying my regular, but it's been about a year since we said it at least. So do not replace arrowhead with the high-res one. Do not use a not-approved color. Do not add graphic images, even though we all love John Brown. And do not use gradient backgrounds or add text to it. Those old Twitter logos or the things that look like apps with the black bar on top, do not use them. That is, you're not staying with the brand. So let's talk about that for a second. And I'm going to use this multiple times. Too bad I didn't just grab John's hat. But it's like not wearing your hat or uniform properly, right? If we don't use the right profile pics, if we don't use the right templates, if we're not using the right text, if we're not thinking about the way that this campaign works and just our branding works, John's going to go get me a hat. If you don't wear it straight, if you're not wearing it with the uniform properly, if your uniform's not the right one, then we know we're out of uniform. We're not being a park ranger, right? You don't become a park ranger unless you have all the things. Same thing with your sites, with the way we present ourselves, the text and everything else. I can't wear it, John, though, because I'm not in uniform, so that'd be bad, right?
It's a teaching tool, John.
It's a teaching tool. I'm sure John's doesn't fit. So, just like wearing the hat, though, you got to wear it straight. You got to wear it properly. You got to wear it correctly. John's like, here, put it on. There, John will put it on. There you go. That's his legal.
2 inches above the eyebrow level with the deck.
There we go. A little bit straighter.
Okay.
So the template. So optimize your desktop. Don't mess with arrowhead. Consistency. Without consistency, it's not a campaign. Put your hat on straight. Put your hat on right. Get a new hat if it doesn't fit. Find good pictures. Take new pictures. Change them often. Let's say that again. Find good pictures is something John showed and said. Take new pictures and change them often. And use the templates. And if you need more, ask.
One of the best things about this template, too, is that it's a window. It's semi-transparent.
Yeah.
It's allowing people to see the photo, the resource, through the campaign.
Hashtags. Now, we all know that we posted yesterday about hashtags, but if you're watching this 3 weeks later, you can go back and look. But hashtags are, which one should we use? Only use Find Your Park. Or, I don't want to say it incorrectly. Do you know how to say it?
Yeah, encuentra tu parque.
See, there we go. Or, can I edit the hashtag, John?
No.
Why not?
No.
I can't make it.
No.
Yeah, but I love Find Your Parrot.
No. No Find Your Parrot.
No Find Your Bison.
No Find Your Bison. No Find Your Parkway.
No Find Your Parks.
Right. Right. No Find Your Battlefield.
Or your national parks.
Right. No Find Your Seashore.
That's right.
It's Find Your Park. And it has, as John and I would say, it has the camel case.
Or title case if you want to.
Title case, yes, technically.
Somebody else's.
But camel case, Find Your Park. Each one is capitalized, just to stick with the brand.
Yeah, and it's important to do that. If you're doing that, let people know in your social media teams and other places that it needs to be in title case. It's very, it's very simplistic. It's easy. What happens if you break the hashtag? It doesn't work, right? It's like a link. Hashtags are like broken links. If you're not consistent, they don't work.
Who was it that said that on Diginterp yesterday?
I don't know, but it was good.
Somebody, whoever said that on Diginterp, it was beautiful.
So it's just very important, but let's not use them just because they're there. This isn't the postscript for every single post you make. This isn't the thing you slap on any post. There's no reason to put this on the Find Your Park hashtag at the end of the river management plan.
Right,
post,
a press release.
Or a press release. Or even a post that just doesn't have much to do with the campaign or doesn't really relate. So there's multiple ways to do it. Here's an example on screen.
Oops, sorry. There we go.
The Find Your Park. Actually, I can go next one because it's on there. Where you can put it at the bottom of your text. So you have a nice quote there. National parks are the best idea we ever had. John had a better way to do that with the quotes, but the quote could be relational to even to your resource or specifically to the park, or a quote about them finding the park.
In fact, I would argue that it's better if it's relational to your resource, if it's about discovery, if it has the essence of Find Your Park buried within it.
Yeah, there's a million John Muir quotes about him finding something great in the park, or in nature, or in just the feeling of being in a park.
And think about every historian that ever writes about being a historian. They've got to talk about playing in the archives and finding something. If you've got a historian that writes about your place, you've got a historian that's written about finding something. It's that simple.
Also, simplistically, the Acadia post here is very simple, but have a happy Sunday Fun Day, which Sunday Fun Day is a regular hashtag usage. Planning a trip to Acadia this summer? Find your park here. So we use the hashtag in the text. It's a great way to do it. It's the way that makes a lot of sense to people. If you're on Twitter, you're not wasting characters. The other thing is that I'll point out in the lower part here, the Find Your Park, linking to findyourpark.com is always a good idea. Don't just do it that one day in April. Let's do it every couple days. The one part is we want to send people over there because we want them to be sharing their experiences. You want to give people an idea about it, about what they can do there, what the reason for me to click is, right? We don't all like just to click on something when we're in these places. You want to give them that little piece. But
why do I want to click?
Why do I want to click on this? But it's a great site for those things. And as more people add things, it'll be greater. And the only way it's going to get better is as we send people there. There's only so much advertising that can be done, so many little events, so many big events, so many speeches. But this is the way we're going to send people to the website. We all know that. The Instameet. John and I use the same photo all the time for these things.
I love that photo. It's such a great photo.
Whoever took that, and we'll find out. You get the
award for today.
You win the internets for right now. For today, how's that?
Yeah.
Jake Frank won it yesterday, so they can win it today. What a great photo! What a great idea! What a great the whole thing about it. I love having people in the resource and then people taking pictures to share. Instameet is it's what it sounds like, but you might not know. It's kind of like a tweet up where we have a bunch of people come to a park, take pictures. and share them on Instagram. The Instameet happened on Sunday. Oops. It happened on Sunday, and I'll show you guys some of the things. This is just to kind of give you guys. This will just give you an idea how it worked. And of course, it's on desktop here, though. But this is the Find Your Park Instameet, is how people were sharing their hashes, their hashtags. You know, this was the national piece. The Instameet was all across. You can click it in. It was all across the country. Tons of parks did it, and you know, we came up with lots of different pictures. You know, we can just click into some of these.
I was going to say, why don't we look at a couple of them?
Let's look at a few of them. So this was shared by Frederick Doug House, but a great picture. Frederick Doug House, they'll be in order, of course. There's a visitor photo from Grand Tetons. You know, lots of walkers and cyclists. I wanted to rollerblade, but apparently people stopped that mid-1990s. What a cute little quote. Great little piece of Android or iOS photography here with the blurring at Yosemite.
Mm-hmm.
There's some more Yosemite shots.
What was the T-shirt one back there?
Oh, here, let's go to the T-shirt one. This is by the Landmark Project in honor of John Deere's 107th birthday.
Cool, yeah.
They used our hashtag.
They're using our hashtag.
But it's nice.
And that's good. That's getting it to trend, too. It's awesome.
So we can get other people to trend. Here's the obligatory 3D printed one. So in Harpers Ferry, they handed out little tiny Find Your Park things. That's not what this is, but 3D printed Find Your Park things. John loves to show off his little. He's got a little 40.
Harpers Ferry's been playing with 3D printing. We've been helping them out to experiment a little bit.
They printed a whole bunch of these little guys out, and they hand them to the people, and they went around the park taking pictures, Instameeting. I think a lot of people, when we do these kind of pieces, it's probably the first time they've ever even thought about participating in Instameet. You can find some. You know, here's our park service, our rangers out with people, but you know, cool. A bunch of people just sharing, like, look at that one's great, you know, at Joshua Tree, just sharing the flower.
Visitors having real authentic experiences within the resource.
That's awesome. Follow stone piles to the steaming volcano. Later, Graham, there you go. Joshua Tree.
That's beautiful.
Handing out some things. There's one at Zion, people up in the piece, people jumping. This must be all. Joshua Tree must have had a jumping area. It's awesome though. These are just a lot of fun, you know, and I think they really provided. Oh, John wants that one.
I want to show the John Brown's Fort with
there they are.
Find Your Park in it.
So one of my favorite shots. That's from Ranger Samantha though.
Okay,
so that's an inside park, but it's fine. It's cute. Just lots of great pictures. You know, I'd go in there and look around, try to find the other ones. I think it worked really well. I thought I think it's one of those things that I hope we can do over and over again, and hopefully parks are comfortable with the idea of doing Instameet. The neat thing is, if you do Find Your Park, if you do more Instameets and you ask them to use the Find Your Park Instameet brand tag or just the Find Your Park tag, they'll get a ton more. Actually, it'd be interesting to see what it says here. We're going to do this live on the internet. I don't know what it's going to look like.
We apologize in advance.
Look, there's 10,000 posts with Find Your Park on Instagram.
That's pretty good.
That's way pretty good for the way that this is working. Oh, look. So a lot of these, of course, are going to be from parks, but there's just a lot of people out there finding their park.
So it's already working. How can we keep making it work better? And that's we've got a year and a half to keep doing that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And you have a year and a half to experiment, because by the end of this, we're going to have techniques and ideas to move this forward in ways that we've never imagined. What's that one, John?
Regional Redwood Park. So they're not always just. It's great to see people sharing it from anywhere they are. Grand Canyon. Grateful Dead.
It's their Grateful Dead lyrics.
Oh.
They were pairing some
Death
lyrics.
Valley.
They were interpreting with the Grateful Dead.
Pile.
The Pollinator. Two people enjoying a park.
There's people doing the Tennessee plate, tagging their friends for the Smokies. Ah, look at that.
Yeah, okay.
That's cool. Smokey's Friends plates. That's great. Well, anyway, it's probably not that much fun watching John play on the internet.
We can do this, and we literally can do this for quite a bit. But publishing it and letting people know it's going to happen too is important.
Yeah, and Parks did a great job advertising it. Came out in all different ways. I think it was great. I think it worked out well. So the biggest thing is the resources that we have available to us are the Cenntenial Google site, the Digital Community Google site, which is the digital community site, and of course, our favorite place to live, the DigiInterp Facebook group. So you can go out there. There was a Cenntenial webinar that Amber and I gave a few weeks ago that you can go look at.
I was going to say, that's archived, isn't it?
It's archived, but it's hard to, you can get in there and look at it. A lot of it's about Park Week, though, but you can take a look. Most of the major stuff is already in here, but
we'll keep having Park Weeks.
Check it out. We'll keep having Park Weeks, and next year, we'll be able to figure out what we can do even bigger. So
cool. So is that all you got, John?
That's it.
That's all you got for policy? I was expecting all of these rules, but the Cenntenial Google site's a good place to go for these resources.
Not for rules and policy. It's just keeping our heads straight.
Yep. So and we just want to encourage you guys to experiment. You experiment within the boundaries. It's one of those places where you need to know the rules to know how to intentionally skirt the boundaries and push the edges. So you need to know the system in order to break it, and know what's available and what's going to get you into much trouble and that sort of thing. So we want to make sure that you guys are creative, because that's what being an interpreter is all about. It's about helping people to find different angles and different approaches and different viewpoints, and to listen to their viewpoints too. And that's really why the hashtag in particular excites me.
Because it's instantaneous, user-generated content. It's easy for them to connect with us instantly across all these different medias. It's so fast for them to be able to share something if you're on Instagram or if you're on Twitter or on Facebook. If you go in and type Find Your Park, you can see, like we did on Instagram just now, 10,000 people have already gone in and tweeted it, or put up a picture. On Twitter, I don't even know what the numbers are. It's pretty ridiculous. Almost every few minutes there's another Find Your Park going up, and it's not parks. It's people, it's brands, it's friends of our parks, it's people that just support us.
And one of the things that we preserve as a park service is democracy. We preserve these big ideas besides preserving landscapes, and we preserve democracy. And a hashtag is one of the ultimate expressions of democracy, because my hashtag posted from a Mather Training Center account holds no extra weight compared to Sam's hashtag posted from her own account of John Brown's Fort. Hold no extra weight against somebody posting a picture of their license plate in the Smokies. We all hold the same weight. It's a true democratic form, and that's really, really exciting. It's getting towards the idea. We're moving towards a world where all interpretation, to some extent, is about facilitating dialogues more than it is broadcasting. And this is one of the prime tools we've got available to us to start dialogues and to honestly listen. I did a short detail on Paul Olig. Thank you, Paul, for inviting me down to Ford's Theater to help them run the social media for the anniversary of Lincoln's assassination this past week. And one of the things that I really was learning on the ground overnight, pulling an all-nighter with them to run the social media presence, is just how powerful it is when you acknowledge the fact that you're listening. On Facebook, we're posting these things, and folks are responding. And I'm at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., I'm making sure that I respond back to them, because if they care enough to be awake and looking at the Facebooks to pay attention to the assassination of Lincoln, then I want to make sure that I'm saying, yeah, I'm listening. I'm listening to you. I'm responding to you with text. I'm even just liking the comments. And go up just one more. Danforth guy from Canada flew flags in honor of Lincoln's death and sent along a photo that Toronto in Ontario was celebrating as well, celebrating the life and mourning the death of Abraham Lincoln. And just paying attention and listening to the audience and allowing that democratic feedback is powerful, and that's why the hashtag is so incredibly exciting, because it's a way to be democratic. One of the things that Ford's did as part of this event was a tweet up, and they did have a group of history-based Twitter folks there that were posting some brand new content. And then, of course, we're just posting stuff throughout the entire night. It was a really cool event, and I'd encourage you to go back and look through some of the Ford's Theater stuff that I was posting, because I was learning as I was doing it too. And you can learn from all the experimentation that you do.
John stuff's the stuff in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
a lot of it.
Yeah. I'm the stuff from about 8 p.m. to about 7:22 in the morning, and that time is very specific. So yeah, it was an amazing experience, but showed me the power of reacting. And the hashtags like Find Your Park are great if people are posting to them. It's even better if we pay attention to what they're posting about us and we respond back.
Well, I'm telling people to use that the hashtag, or
and then encouraging them after they've used
it, and encouraging them right. And how do we do that? It's like how John shared that picture from the guy in Toronto.
Exactly.
It's a great example.
Yeah, it's resharing. It's encouraging. It's even just tweeting and sending messages back and comments on Instagram of saying, I love this. This was great. And when a park says, when the park, because you're speaking as the park, when the Statue of Liberty says, I love this picture you took of me, that's got power to it. When Harpers Ferry says, I love this picture you took of your John Brown doll sitting in front of the John Brown's fort, that's powerful. When the Grand Canyon speaks to you, that's powerful. We hold that power. Let's exercise it.
See these little 3D printed things.
Yeah.
When people are posting them, we're like, we
right. Yeah, that's awesome.
Even though it's so small.
Yeah. It's about interacting. And that's the next layer of Find Your Park. That's the next layer of the Cenntenial that we're just broaching now. We're good at broadcast. Now we're going to start building in the reaction and the community building, because that's what we're doing in the end. We're trying to build a massive nationwide community that loves these powerful resources.
Yep.
Cool. Well, thank you guys for joining us. If you have any comments, you can head over to DigInterp Facebook group. John and I lurk there every so often, and there's a huge community that's ready and willing to
respond
discuss
before
stuff.
we
that finds the answers long before we can even see that you guys asked the question, which is awesome. And that's hashtag DigInterp on Facebook. You can also find us through all the normal channels. And if you want to share this around, we encourage you, please share this video. You can subscribe. If you go down to the corner here, or I'm not sure where it is. It's over here. I don't know. You can click the subscribe button.
You just
click my face.
I'll put a box there for subscribe.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, so you can subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get these after they go live. So you can keep up with everything that we're doing. Go back through the back catalog if you're new to us, and watch some of your favorites. Some of them might be useful to show to your management to make the argument that you need a little bit more time. Don't forget the census. Keep your eyes open for our next schedule. It'll be coming out in the next week or two. I just put a